You see, Jesus could identify with giving all. It had very little to do with money, but with eternity. Jesus came and gave all of him, all of himself, so that we would live with him, with God, in eternity. And that's what this is all about. It's having the right relationship for eternity. This is what Jesus said about accumulating wealth in Matthew chapter 6. He said, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal, but store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moth and rust do not destroy and where thieves do not break in and steal." Whether it's money, your time, your talents, whatever gifts that you have, don't store it, don't hold on to it, but give it. Because in giving it, you are storing up treasures in heaven. Now, somebody's going to get the wrong impression with this giving, because salvation is not based on what you do or what you give. Salvation is based on your relationship with the Lord. Because Jesus gave all for your forgiveness so that you would spend eternity in heaven. So we can't be mistaken with this message in thinking that if I give enough things, that I'm saved. No. If I have the right relationship, then I'm saved. Relationship. Whether the relationship is with the things that we have, the things that we own, what's important is we have the right relationship with God for salvation to take place, to spend eternity. The rich young ruler asked Jesus this question. He says, "Good teacher, what must I do to have eternal life?" And for him, Jesus' instructions were to change the relationship that you have with your wealth. Sell all you got and give it to the poor. He might not be telling you to sell all you've got and give it to the poor, but what he's telling you for sure is to have the right relationship with the things that you have and with Jesus in order to have eternal life. And when he called the disciples over to pay attention to what the woman had put into the trumpet, he said, she gave all. In order to have eternal life, the right relationship means that we give all. We give all that we have, all that we are, to Jesus, in order to have the right relationship and have eternal life with him. It's not about what we can do for people, but it's about the relationship that we have with Jesus, that we do what we do, that we give what we give. When you give your money to the cause of Christ, you're contributing to your heavenly portfolio. I know a few people who are financial planners, and when I was in the insurance business, I was taking some courses called They were CLU, Chartered Life Underwriter courses. And if some of you have been in the insurance business, you're probably familiar with that, or if your insurance agent has all these letters behind his name, CLU, CPCU, and all of those things, it means that they've done a lot of studying to help people build a portfolio and plan for their future. Jesus is saying to us is that we should be building our portfolio in heaven. Giving builds our portfolio in heaven. We're not here to talk to you about how much you ought to be giving. In fact, that's something that we need to be thinking about. That's something I struggle with, is what is the right amount to give? I don't think there is such a thing. There are guidelines for giving, and we certainly don't want to give what's left over. I heard a pastor speaking one day about his experience in Sunday school, and his Sunday school teacher brought in some brownies to a Sunday school class one Sunday morning, and she also wrote on a little piece of paper all of the things that we have to pay for. On one piece, she wrote house payment. She wrote car payment. She wrote food, and so on and so forth. And she handed one to each of the students. And then as she called that item, she said, house payment. A student would get up and come to the desk, and she would hand that student a brownie. And she handed out brownies, and that was until she handed all the brownies out, and there was one child remain who had not come up yet. He didn't see any brownies on in the pan, but he was hoping that she had hidden one away, so when he got there would be a brownie for him as well. But she called him up. She said, God. And he had the paper with God on it, and he walked up to the desk. And the teacher took a knife and scraped all of the crumbs from the pan onto a napkin for him. And she said to the class, don't give God the crumbs and what's left over. That's why we were instructed to give of the first fruits. And when we give God first, there's enough for everything else. But when we take care of everything else first and give God what's left over, we're giving God the crumbs. What is our relationship with God? And how are we building up treasures in heaven? The purpose of our giving is for the work that God has called us to do. And so that that work can be done, it's necessary that we give to the church. Would you stand? God, we confess that we have trouble knowing how to give. We have trouble making sure that we've given to your cause first. And so we ask, Lord, that you help us with the things that we have trouble with, so that we can have the right relationship with you and be ready to spend eternity with you.